Oh, sorry, Patricia, we got cut out
Ah,
right when you start.
It
you
was
should
my,
have a count. You should have count down your ear. I was in the middle of
I know, I know.
I,
It was a bit messy, but
it's okay.
just a minute.
I just want to mention to the ladies here that I was talking that not that I do this, I love myself all the time, and I just I acknowledge that I am love. I am love. Not that I love myself. I am love. And that's what I believe. Can
Hmm.
Okay. So thank you. I mean,
sorry.
we have a strong experience for us, for me. Um, what I don't know. I didn't visit you because we are busy in our room. And sorry for the abrupt. I got too excited, so I canceled the whole thing. So anyway, um, what's important, I think, that we share, probably you did from what I hear from you just now, Patricia, is that what do we do? What do we do is with this mind? You know, because this mind is a troublemaker. Yeah. So what do we do with it? You know, and so as many tools that people can share, how to deal with the mind, how to deal with those tendencies, it's great. Yeah. So I heard from you, Patricia, but I heard only the end that you are love. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I meditate myself. I meditate different ones, different times of the day, and try to connect to love, which is who I am. And then I open the heart. That's, but the ladies can talk about their own experience as well.
Okay. So yeah.
Vicky, do you want to talk?
For me, it's been um, the meditation that has been the key to dropping the mind and all the mind chat and all the mind criticism. And a bit like Patricia, the meditation has connected me with love and light. And to the extent that I can remain connected, I seem to remain in a critical free space.
Mm.
But then at other times, it pops in if I disconnect. Does that make sense?
Totally. And
Yeah.
then when it pops in, what do you do?
I go, gee, that's really bad. It's popped in. and I know I just notice, I just am aware that, hey, I've evolved into a bad mood, or, you know, things have annoyed me. And I just try to breathe, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. See, from what I understand, this mind is not really an enemy. You know, it's not our enemy. Actually, it's here to protect us, really. So any what it perceives as a life-threatening situation, or you know, it will attack. You know, it's like trying to protect. So I don't think we need to be aggressive to the mind, or to be, you know, negative towards the mind. In a way, it's a natural tendency of the mind to try to protect us in its own way. Okay? And its own way is to protect the ego, because mind and ego is the same thing, really. Yeah. So when we been in other class, we saw the different aspects of the mind, and we saw that actually we are not all these things. So the ego part of the mind is part of the mind. Okay, and we are the awareness that observing that. Um, And because the mind is so identified with itself as the ego, so when this ego is feeling threatened, it will do whatever it can to attack or to make sure that it's not threatened. And that's why it's the reaction to the identity or to threatening on the identity, or even worse, threatening on or life-threatening situation, is very, very extreme reaction. And then it's difficult to, we feel a lot of pain. I feel a lot of pain when I feel that my ego is reacting to life, feeling it is threatened. So, yeah. So that reaction is what is difficult. It creates a lot of difficulties, because that's reaction normally, the least it creates some pain. Yeah. And then it can create a lot of pain to ourselves. And then many times it creates a lot of pain to others, because if for my ego to be okay, it always has to appear the winner. So if somebody caused my ego to feel bad, I'm going to attack them, because then it's not a winner anymore. And this is entering to very difficult situations, because that's probably the essence of relationship breakdown, or not talking to each other, or very difficult things. And that takes a lot of awareness to work with it, because when the ego gets hurt, it wants to hurt immediately, because it cannot tolerate not being acknowledged, not being there, clear. Okay, so let's hear more people. How are you dealing with this human existence? Yeah.
Like a helicopter, fly a little bit above yourself and above the world. Yes, it helps me a lot. So when you fly a little bit above yourself, you can smile a little bit more, and I'm very grateful for my life that I have. So it's important to stay grateful what happens to me.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Hessel.
And not comparing with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And that's the difficult part in this world.
Yeah. And when you find your mind comparing, what happens?
I feel embarrassed. Yes, I don't know if this the right word, but I feel again like that balloon gets tinier and tinier.
Very good. And then what?
I step in that helicopter again.
Good. Back to the pilot.
Yeah, back to the pilot. Yes.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Let's hear more people. What you give is helpful for everybody. Yes.
I also feel sometimes ego can hijack the, those identities that feel like we are not in the ego. Like I'm the enlightened one, or I'm sort of I'm always good, or I rise above it. And those are very difficult to spot sometimes as what's happening versus what is kind of like naturally happening. And then it's no better, it's just a different story. But the mechanics are the same, where something is wrong, but this is right. And then it just does the same thing. It's just more palatable to the new makeup of the energy of one person. Yeah. I've seen it quite a lot happen, and I think sometimes it's quite present in, you know, this sort of love and light only and communities where it's like, well, there's just another story. It's not actually that helpful because there is like everything exists. Um, and what I've been finding recently quite helpful is actually not meditating. That's not working for me right now very well, partially because my mind is more activated and I have hay fever as well. And it just, uh, for me, it drives anxiety more. So it makes my mind active. So meditating still is like the opposite to what I need. So I'm like going back to the embodied practices is going, well, what else knows the way of the spirit? And for me, it's the body. Um, and kind of like being in nature, being in the relationality with something. Um, and um, and one thing I discovered recently is just like laughter. I joined the improv classes, and for me, that has been like one of the best and most enlightening experiences in the last year. And it has nothing to do with a practice of enlightenment, you know, but it's just pure and utter laughter and play with other people for no reason, but just to laugh together.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. That's great. Yeah, laughing is great. Yeah, so basically not taking ourselves too serious, you know, and not taking life too serious and just laughing. Yeah. And thank you for mentioning, you know, the spiritual ego, because the mind in its most, you know, subtle way will try to take anything possible to enhance the ego, anything possible. That's its nature, you know, and we have to watch it. But really, when there is no mind, there is no ego, really. You know? So, as much as the mind is still active and is taking whatever possible, you know, to put some ranks, you know, like in the army, ego ranks. So, yeah, but when the mind is gone, there's ego gone. You know, that's really what it is. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I have a question about the mind and ego because I'm wondering to what extent it's possible for the mind to go. And maybe it's the matter of definitions. I'm just wondering if mind, you know, when I record my stories and they are deeply inspirited, but they also, it's a collaboration, right? For me to speak it out, that requires an activation of a mind. For me to see an imagery of that energy is the mind active. So I'm kind of like coming to a place where, and when I sat with this, that I don't think mind ever is gone. This is like part of a human experience. Even in that expanded space, mind is there. It's just the mind is expanded, and then it drives the spirit through, right? And or it drives sort of the higher vibration rather than kind of like responding or being hijacked by the ego and the narratives and the stories and the conditionings that we carry. So I just want to like sort of almost like stand on the defense line for the mind. I actually don't think it's an enemy, or the task is to kind of neutralize it in the sense that, you know, obliterate it. It's more about if mind is neutral and it's just our way of connecting um, to the world or being able to imagine, right? Then it just becomes about the clarity of a channel rather than necessarily the mind itself.
Yeah, exactly. So as we've seen in previous class, there are different aspects of the mind. And in the teaching of yoga, the awareness, they don't say it's the mind. Below that, all the other things is the mind. But from the way I feel is that actually awareness is the subtlest part of the mind. Yeah, and you can only connect to everything through awareness. Okay, even they say that when you are have in a deep sleep, the awareness is still functioning, but you don't know who you are. Okay, so you can say that the mind is sleeping, but you can say it's not sleeping because the awareness part of the mind is still aware. Okay, so if you look at it as a triangle, so awareness is the subtlest part of the mind. Actually, it's pure consciousness. This is the mind. And the most, let's say, physical aspect of the mind is the ego identity. And as much as it's more in the ego, in the survival aspect of the mind, it's more dense. And this is a spectrum. Okay, it's not that you have to delete something or something is not. But when you are in that complete infinite state of the mind, then you are that, just that. I am that, and that's it. There is no, when you are, go more to the physical, then you're in the physical state. And then you completely identify with everything the mind says. And that's it. So it's wherever you're finding yourself, one is more comfortable, one is less comfortable. But everything is the mind. It's not to negate the mind, but it's not to suffer from it. This is really the point. So when you are, lately, I find that when I meditate, it's possible to watch, because awareness is not the thinking mind. Yeah. Awareness is space where the thought are manifesting. And I saw that it's possible, and it's beautiful actually, to be aware of thoughts. And the image that comes is like the thoughts are like a bubbling cauldron, or that these bubbles coming. Choo, choo, choo. Some are manifesting, popping and manifesting into thoughts, and then take you to another thought, and da 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 da. Some are just very tiny bubbles that you don't even aware of them, but they are like energy that moving towards thinking. Choo, choo, choo. And it's fascinating to meditate with that, and to be aware of that. Because normally the thought just popping, and then before we know it, we go into it, especially if it's a difficult thought, or opposite, if it's a fascinating thought, and off we go with that thought. When we are making the point of meditation only to be aware of the thinking process, yeah, it doesn't matter if I go into thought, but I'm going back, but I'm fascinating by the actual thinking process of how thoughts pops up, boom, boom, boom. It's fascinating, and in a way, it calms down a lot the system, because you are aware of the thought. Yeah, you're not the thinker, if possible. But as you said, if it's too difficult because the mind is very, very active, and there's hay fever and doesn't feel good, so go and laugh. That's better. Do what works, really. But there's no, enemy, to put something as enemy is just another thought, really. Or I am the meditator, or I am enlightenment. It's just another thought. Or I must be enlightened. It's another thought. When the mind is completely quiet, who cares? You don't have a title. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm just like taking us sideways, so feel free to kind of
No, you're
redirect
good.
it back. But the question that comes for me is, where do you think thoughts come from? Because in that space of endless mind, and I agree with you, I think it is really very like awareness is a very subtle representation of that. Um, when we think about the thoughts, if the awareness is wide and connected to everything, then in a sense, and at least in my experience as well, some thoughts when they pop in, I'm like, this is definitely like nothing to do with me. It's like I can't even, I have no idea. It's like a narrative I can't connect in my life. And I wonder if with us also expanding, or with one expanding their consciousness and their mind, it also expands the possibility of those bubbling thoughts arriving in greater quantities in a way, right? Because the field is expanding. So yeah, I'm wondering what do you think? Oh, I hope I didn't offend Hessel with my
No, no,
question.
no.
So I'm wondering, what do you think, or from your kind of inquiry and anybody else's as well, if you've done that, like where do the thoughts come from, and whether in some ways, us becoming bigger, then the capacity of thoughts kind of bubbling in and the cauldron becoming even more violent with bubbling is also increasing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe first let's hear people. What are you feeling? What is your take on that? Where your thoughts coming from?
I don't know where they come from, but I do the exercise of awareness of, is this coming from me, as you just said earlier, or is this not me? And if it's something that somebody mentioned to me or something that I heard that I don't really believe that's me, I just give it back. Thank you, but that's not me. I say that in my mind and heart. Doesn't belong to me. Here you go. Take it back. I'll not carry this for you, kind of thing. And I move on. But yeah, bubbling up. Even tonight, I had so many different thoughts, crazy ones. Don't know where they come from. I'm telling you how I manage them. Poof, poof. No.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Patricia. Yeah, Joanna.
Me, I think that as the universe is everything, I think that the universe can think every thought, but is where we put attention on that comes to us.
Mm, thank you. Okay. Okay. For me, I don't know where they're coming from also. They just come, pops and pops. I don't know where they're coming from. But it's obvious that if I feel more bothered, so they relate more to the direct life, of what bothers or what I'm excited about. Yeah, the mind is excited about. And I'm fascinating is to see that actually the reaction to the thought has a lot to do either to protect or to enjoy. Yes, so if it's a thought that immediately create an excitement, wow, yeah, wow, then it's an aspect of enjoyment, and then the mind will grasp on it stronger, and it'll be more difficult to detach. And if it's the contrary, it's a thought that is threatening, again, the mind will grasp and it'll be difficult to detach. Okay? Um, so I think really there is an aspect of addiction there also. Addiction to yeah to grasp on something that either take you to suffering or takes you to joy, but still is an aspect of addiction that says, no, this is not a good substance for me. I'm letting go. Yeah. Um, but to answer your question, I don't know where it comes from. But what is interesting that I lately find that there is a level of the mind when it starts to calm down, it goes into some kind of a dream state. While I meditate, I see it. Then suddenly there is a dream or something that is not a thought at all, but something pops up in the system that it feels like a dream. And for me, this is actually a good sign that I am moving in the right direction into much more calm. So this is a welcome, although it's not something that's useful, but it's a good direction. Okay, anyone would like to share anything more? Yeah, Hessel?
Yeah. For me, in meditation is the big difference. Are 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 it short thoughts, or do I make a story about it? And by a story, I mean if this, then that. Eh? You make stories about your own thoughts, and when I recognize that, I cut off the story, and when it pops up, I do like Patricia. It's just a thought, fup, fup, and it works very well. And then I become a dream stage, like you say.
Yeah, good. Dream state is good.
Yeah.
But then we're moving deeper than the dream.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's just take a few minutes and try to do this meditation of Yeah, like there is I think in Peru maybe there is an active lava, kind of a mountain, and you can go and just see. So let's climb there, to our own, mountain, and see if the volcano. Just look at the volcano, yeah, but don't fall into it, yeah, don't get burned. Okay, so let's take a few minutes to meditate on the volcano, the edge of the volcano. Okay. So meditation is awareness. So let's just be aware. And let's be aware and say that we are now observing the thinking process. And if possible, as you're observing the process, obviously there's also sensory inputs. And also try to not only to observe how, but observe where. See, maybe you can even see where does it pops from. Before we finish, maybe we take a few minutes and try to become aware of your vibrational body, the vibration in the body, and then while keeping the awareness on the vibration, uh, still try to be aware of the thoughts and see what's the difference, and without connecting to thoughts, without being aware of the vibrational body. Okay. Let's just share a little bit our experience. Anyone would like to share? How is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
While concentrating on the vibrations, the thoughts disappeared.
Yeah. It's a good trick. That's
Yeah.
what I found. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah.
I also felt like I saw this image as a motorway, and there's just like many, many cars running through, and almost like it's always active. Even, and I agree, like when I tuned in into my vibrational body, it became less active, but I also was trying to see if it's still there, and I felt like it is. It's just that I'm not paying attention. It's doing what it needs to do. There's something else that it does. In terms of processing. But like that motorway, like if I choose to cross it as it moves, then it becomes troublesome because I need to navigate it and I might get hit or I might need to stop a car and so on. So that's how I experienced it.
And could you stay in that place of just observing the motorway?
Um, it I mean, I could not. It wasn't as easy for me to do it in some other times. I think I was a bit closer into it, um, but it felt almost better just to let it do what it needs to do in its own, and for the lack of better words, like focus on something else. Like vibrational body felt better, but it did feel like sort of. I also saw this image of like a spider web, and then somewhere, like when the fly catches. Like to me, those were thoughts. Like there's also something that thoughts release as they go if you just let them do whatever they need to do without engaging with them.
Beautiful. Yeah, the problem is the engagement, not the actual thought. It's no problem. Comes
Yeah.
because it's natural. It's like a generator somewhere. We don't know what, but it generates thought. That's it. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else would like to share your experience? Okay. So the connection with the vibrational body helps calm the thought because the mind is more connected to the vibration. And in the same time, it makes it even more clear because when you're aware of the vibration, it's in a way clearer to see when the thought comes out of the vibration. It's really like popping out and manifesting. So for me, it's easier to observe when I'm in the vibration body, to see when it's in a way broken. Okay, so yeah, Vicky, please.
For me, I can feel the thoughts coming from inside my head.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel it. And because I channel, one of the things about channeling is that you get overwhelmed with this self-doubt. I'm talking to myself when I'm channeling, or am I talking to myself? So I feel my own words coming from inside my head, and then I feel words that are channeled coming from the void, as in infinity.
Yeah.
A completely different space. But having done this exercise, I didn't realize I feel them. It's not, I might have a sense of a word, but I'm actually feeling the vibration of the word in my head.
Beautiful. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, dear people, I think we can finish now. Thank you so much for putting beautiful energy and yeah, thriving. Yeah, more and more. It's a beautiful process. And I really believe that it's about habits and about this inner work that we're doing, that we can improve on that. So thank you. Have a beautiful week, and yeah, more to come next week. Beautiful stuff. Blessing to everybody. Much love. Nice. Oh yeah, I love these hearts. That's nice. I can also do one. Why not? Yeah. Talking about the competition.
How do you do that?
You press on the reactions. You know, you see how there. Yeah, here we go.
Yay!
Hey.
Whoa, to the space we go.
Okay.
See you all.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Much love, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Go well.
Bye. So it's
You
good to
too.
play.
Bye.
To play. Bye bye.